I talked about ground sampling distance, right there it's telling me right off the bat what my GSD is. Ground sampling distance is the size of a pixel on a photo. Your accuracy is going to be based upon that size. So again, 1 to 2 times that horizontally, nominally, 2 to 4 times that vertically. If that's good enough for me, I'll run it at this. If I want higher accuracy, I'll change my elevation down so that number comes down. It's based on a formula of altitude. So altitude is the only thing that affects that ground sampling distance. Terrain follow. If I wanted to follow rolling terrain, I can turn that on, but I must supply it with a digital elevation model. Something I pull off of USGS, National Geodetic Survey, or I can fly a site at super high altitude and make a quick and dirty elevation model. It's got to be a geotiff, a WGS 84 lat and lawn, and I can throw that into there and say, oh, point to this geotiff model and use it. I never use it. You know, I don't have to use it because usually out here you don't have that much slow rolling terrain of maybe, you know, I've flown in areas with like 100-foot elevation change and it handled it just fine. But if you want to do that, that's available. Altitude is always going to be relative to your takeoff point, so that's your above ground level. That's 400 feet maximum. So here's your elevation. That mission is flying at 100 meters right now, 328 feet. For 1 centimeter ground sampling distance, just as an example, 260 feet. Notice how it changed the mission flight lines? And I can see that GSD is now 0.99 centimeters per pixel. If I wanted to go lower than that, let's say I wanted to fly a mission at 150 feet. See the flight lines it has to make. This is based upon a default value of 80% forward lap, 70% side lap. Okay. So those could change depending on my side lap and overlap values. But my ground sampling distance is now 0.5 centimeter per pixel, a little-ish, but 88 photos. So down at the bottom, it tells me my statistics. To fly this mission, it's going to take 1 minute and 47 seconds to take 88 photos. If I change that to back up to 260, the mission is now going to take 1 minute and 18 seconds and take 37 photos. Less photos means less processing time.
1 minute?
Yeah. Not bad. It'd take me about an hour to topo that manually. Okay. This target to service takeoff point lets me add a plus or minus to my elevation value. If I'm taking off like on the top of a quarry and I want to map down into the quarry, I can put a negative value in here and it will shift everything down relative to what I'm doing. Takeoff speed, they should change this. This should actually be like transit speed. For my takeoff, it flies to the start point. Okay, so it's going to take off. I can take off down to the bottom, top, left, or right, but it's always going to go to that upper left corner to start. Okay, so the speed that it travels to that point is my takeoff speed, and I can make that 33 miles an hour and just let it go as fast as it can. Okay. Mission speed is the actual mission track speed that it's going to do when it flies. I also recommend sending that to as fast as you can. This has a 0.7 second trigger speed. You cannot fly faster than the camera can keep up. It will not allow you. So the lower I fly, the more that speed will come down to maintain trigger speed.
Does higher speed impact the battery life? Or
Not it's
Quality?
No, quality is identical. We've flown this at 25 miles an hour. We've flown it at 5 miles an hour. And you have side-by-side comparison. There's absolutely zero quality degradation. It's really solid. Do not use elevation optimization. All that does is it adds an extra leg that comes back to the centroid of your polygon, and it doesn't add anything. And if that Pix4D, you may throw those photos away, so you've wasted your time on that. So now we're down to 1 minute and 4 seconds, 51 photos. Upon completion, it'll return to home and land and turn itself off. So here's our overlap. We talked about forward lap and side lap for photogrammetry. This is default values. If I'm going to be flying a lot of bare, let's say I'm going to fly that farm field to the north that doesn't have a lot of detail, I may up this to more like 80 to 80 or 90 to 90. Okay. It's going to add significantly to the time it takes, but I can get it better long. I could probably get away with the 7580 because it's an RTK drone on this one.
Like for something low accuracy, like the one I mentioned, the
Yeah,
animation.
I would fly
Can you
that.
just reduce it?
I would fly it at 400 feet. I would probably still keep it at 75 and 80 when we fly it at higher altitude. Because at high altitude, if I change this back to, if I change this to maybe 400 feet, then I could fly at,
Is it the
I
maximum?
could fly at 33 miles an hour. And now my mission time is 45 seconds.
Wow.
With 29 photos. I baseline everything at 260 because it's that 170. And you see it automatically took the speed to its maximum.
For pavement, we need high accuracy.
I think
Yeah.
260 will get
High
you what you need.
precision, so.
260 feet will get you what you need. Advanced settings. This allows you to change things like that side. It also lets me change my course angle. Maybe I can't fly this way because there's an obstruction or a tower or something in the way. So this course angle lets me slide and change the angle when I fly my mission. But notice when you're going transverse, the number of photos goes up and the time goes up. So my most efficient course angle is, along the long axis always. The fewer times it has to stop and turn. 88 miles an hour. 88 degrees. But yeah, smart. The margin is how much buffer I want. Typically, with photogrammetry, you want some additional lap lines or additional distance out. So I could say, okay, this is my definitive error. Right now, the buffer is 0. It's not collecting any data outside of it. Maybe I want an additional 50 feet outside so I can get some additional collection. So you can see it extends the mission beyond that. Photo mode, timed interval shot. So it's every 7.7 seconds, it's gonna take a photo, just standard. So when it slows down to go around the corner, the number of photos is gonna increase. To get out of the sub menu, you're gonna slide to the top and hit that chevron. Finally, payload settings, that is first waypoint autofocus. So it's gonna fly to the first point down, do a light meter, do an autofocus, and just use that for the rest of the mission. That's typically good enough. Do not turn on de-warping ever, never. Let the software take care of those process. This last little toggle gizmo at the bottom, that lets you fine tune each vertex. So you can see I have the southwest corner highlighted with that blue dot. I can use a little shuttle here to bump it down or around. Every time I click one of those arrows, you can see the longitude change a little bit. 25, 35, 45, 75, so I'm nudging that point to the west.
So you're modifying the area here.
I'm modifying the area, but basically I'm modifying the vertex. So whatever vertex I have picked, let's say I picked the northwest, you see that's the latitude and longitude for that vertex. I could use a little wheel here to bump it by like the 10th decimal place, and it'll nudge it over a little bit. Or if I have absolute coordinates I want to put in there, you really just need to get close. Whenever I'm making a mission, I just make sure the blue area encompasses what I want. Everything else is just going to be additional. It's actually going to collect, when you're done with the mission, my final model will probably be all of this. Okay.
So let's say you want to take only the rope.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of polygon you would draw around it? So because you have taken some area out of the rope.
Right. So you if you're going to
what's
do a
the
linear
rule of
mission-
thumb for that? So
Oh, I
if
don't
we put only the road area
Uh-huh.
within the polygon. So
Well, you can't. You're not going to be able to do just the road. You're going to have to get some data outside of it. you're always gonna get more data than what you need, and you're gonna take it to the software.
You know,
determine.
I just want to know, I don't know how to put it. So how much out of the area, as a rule of thumb, you want
I
to take?
don't really have one. I would say if you're just concerned with the area within the right of way, depends on your right of way width. I would get at least the minimum of the right of way width. So if you have a 100-foot right of way, go 50 feet each side of the center line. Usually I'll add. You'll always want something out of the right of way because you want to know how the ground slopes coming into your site. So I'll go another 50. The thing with the drone is whether I go another 100 feet or 250 feet, the amount of time is negligible. So I would go as much as you feel comfortable with. Maybe another 250 feet beyond or something like that. The next method that I show you how to make a mission is easier because I can supply that number.
So,
I just wanted the basic concepts are set here.
so I mean, if you reduce the area you define to fit the road,
Yes.
so it will automatically reduce the
Flight lines.
Flight lines.
Yep. Yep. So if I wanted to narrow these in, you see how it's shifting the flight lines as I go.
So
And now it's optimized. So it's just one down on one side back. You typically don't want to fly down the center line of the road because
Yeah.
of traffic.
It's interesting, the estimated time is increased.
That's because I've lengthened it.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, with also we can do this kind of mission, right? I mean, instead of linear, if we don't want to do.
Well, let's do a linear mission and show you how that works. And
Okay.
you can make
Yeah.
the decision. The concepts are the same. There's just additional things. I wanted to do it this way first so you get an idea of the little tweaks: altitude, speed, takeoff speed. Those are all going to come into factor. But the linear mission throws in a bunch of other things that water this down. I want to make sure we get this
Okay.
one first. When you're all done with your mission, let's say this is the mission we want to fly, there's a save button on the left. You just hit save, and that mission is ready to go. The play button is down at the bottom. If I hit play, it'll come to this screen. This is my pre-flight check. The drone's disconnected, so there's nothing to check. When I'm ready, I'll hit next, and then I can upload my mission to the drone. And then just hit start mission, and it'll take off and fly. So let's do a linear mission then instead, and then I'll come back and I'll switch and do a LiDAR mission to show you the differences between.
Okay.
So the main focus for photogrammetry, you're gonna keep on making your tweet. Now if I wanna edit this mission, you see how the save button turned to a little pencil icon? I can pick that and it takes me back to edit mode. The main focus for photogrammetry is that ground sampling distance. That's the number. That's what you're, every little tweak that you do that affects that. Thankfully for ground sampling distance, the only function that changes that is altitude. The higher you
Okay.
fly, the bigger that number. The higher you fly, the lower your accuracy. 1 to 2 times that ground sampling distance.
Does I mean, if this is also related to how many photos the drone is taking, like.
Yep. So here, ground sampling distance at 1 centimeter per pixel, 69 photos. Again, if I lower my altitude down to like 100 feet, ground sampling distance is now 0.38 centimeters per pixel, but I'm up to 464 photos. So it really it blows up a ton. It's an exponential something, right? I don't know the math behind it, but anyway. But it's still only 7 minutes and 56 seconds to take 460 photos. Okay.
So, but why does the area change?
Did the mapping area change? Probably some tweaks the way the overlaps are done, because I had that overlap there. If I came down here to advanced settings and turn that margin back to 0, so now I'm 6879, it shouldn't change now. If I change this back up to, let's say 300 feet, the area hasn't changed now. But now I'm 1.14 centimeters per pixel, and I'm only down to 22 photos. So I went from 464 photos to 22 photos just by raising the altitude 200 feet. All right, I'm gonna do a linear mission. Notice now my mission is saved there. So anytime I wanna go back and run this 2 weeks from now, when I come back to it, I turn on my controller, I come to this page, I go click, I'm ready to fly. I just upload and start the mission.
Alright, so we have 8 control sites,
Mm-hmm.
so we'll have to create a separate mission for each of them.
Let's see what we can do with the linear mission, because we might be able to do
Okay.
with the linear. Now, are they separated by?
They're separated.
So yes, you will make separate missions. You won't have gaps in the mission. So we're gonna try a linear mission for the same site instead. Create flight route. I'm gonna say create route. This time I'm gonna choose linear mission. This is the one you're probably gonna use the majority of. So again, if the drone was turned on, it would be zoomed in right where I'm standing instead of having to fight to find it. At this time, there is no address search within program, so you kind of have to know ahead of time where you're looking. So we should get it this time, right? Maybe.
So we have the license for the Pix 4.
Yes.
You can do this there.
No.
You can.
No. The Pix 4D is only there for processing and creating your model. That's it.
Okay. So we have a license with Iowa State for the side scan. Now, I think it says it allows you to do like flights, planning your setting up weight to start and fly and all that stuff.
It won't work with this drone.
It will not work.
No.
Okay.
There are products that will work with this on the SDK controller, but not with this controller. It's only Pilot 2. This drone controller is, the software on here is pretty much proprietary to the drone. They all work the same for the most part. All right, so this is that same intersection. This is gonna be linear flight mission 1, that's fine. So in this case, we're select the camera, just like we did last time, P1, 35 millimeter. We're gonna do a alignment. So let's say we wanted to do this road, turn the corner and go south. Let's do something like that, okay? I'm gonna pick a vertex point. I'm gonna pick a second point, and I'm gonna pick a third point to round that corner, okay? So you kind of see how it sets up that mission. I can then go to these points and kind of zoom in and put them closer to the center of the straight. I don't have to be super accurate. So what you've seen, it has made basically a strip map. And it has broken that map up into submissions. Because of the ability of the need to fly visual line of sight, it breaks it up by default into 1,600 foot chunks. I can change that. If I want to go 2,000 or maybe 2,500 feet, I can. But I can make a single mission. Matter of fact, let's drag this all the way back to the city. Okay. So now you can see it's broken up into 1, 2, 3, 4 submissions. For a linear mission, when I fly it, they'll be labeled 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. When I take off now, it's gonna ask me which ones do you wanna fly? And I'll physically pick 1, 2, and 3. And it'll fly mission 1, 2, and 3. And then pick up, move down the road, start this same mission again, and pick 4, 5, and 6. And it'll run that second set. So you could set up 20 miles of mission for this, and it automatically breaks it up into sub-chunks for you that you can choose which one you want to fly each mission. So you can move down station as you're flying. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay.
So the control sites are just 0.3
Yes.
mile long.
Okay. So you could probably fly those as single missions. So so right now by default it breaks up into sites. But if let's say I want to fly that entire one and I know I can see it, that next switch there says single route, turns it all into one single route. So there is no limitation. So all I'm doing right here now is saying linear flight mission, I've made an alignment, and by the way, the plus signs there let me add additional vertices if I have to tweak around something. Right now, you see flight, now this is why it's complicated. I have I'm in the flight band mode. This sets up my geometry. Flight route mode sets up all the camera parameters. So I do the flight band mode first. Set up my geometry. Equal left and right extensions, I can turn that on, and then I can say, how far left and right do I want to fly at my center line? 250 feet. So now it's flying center line route, 250 feet left and
Okay,
right.
so because we only collecting the one direction,
Yes.
so this is
No, it's
not-
gonna automatically make a route to make sure it gets it on.
Okay, so it gets one lane and then comes back and
Yep.
gets the other lane.
Yep. Or 3, or 4, or 5, depending on the parameters that you set.
Okay.
It'll set up whatever flight lines it needs to give you what you expect out of it. Let's keep it simple. Let's make this for 100 feet. 100 feet left and right. So there's a nice little strip map of your road, okay? And you can see I can come in, maybe I need to tweak the geometry down. Okay, whatever, I'll come down here and I'll add a vertex. Lower this down or something like that. See, it automatically adjusts the offsets to the vertex. Maybe I don't wanna fly that far out, certainly don't want for this class, so we're just gonna bring this back. And we could make one on site too. Okay? So there's my routes so far. Okay? I could set independent left and right if I wanted to as well. The cutting distance, that's where it breaks up into missions. Right now it's 1,640 feet. So if I wanted to up that maybe to add 1,000 feet to it, it'll recut that. So this first bit's basically it'll do this entire site from there to there, and it'll do that L section as a separate flight. Okay, payload settings, this is the same as last time. First point, waypoint, autofocus. Once I'm done setting up my geometry, then I come back here and say flight route. And this is where, now you can see, this is the actual route it's gonna take. That green line at the top, it's gonna start, actually it's gonna do the opposite. The S is always the start point. So it's gonna fly that southern green line, cross the road, and fly back along the north side of the road, and that's that mission. The next mission will start wherever it is, fly that L, come across, and fly the other road back.
Now can we merge these two to make it faster? Like 1 and 2, just go from start.
Yes, that's back here where you
Right.
say maybe a single
Yeah.
route. So that it does it just right down the middle, right down the center line. Which I don't really want, so I gotta do some playing there, so then I gotta come back and say, okay, I don't want, there's gonna be some advanced settings here where I can say, where is it? Target surface takeoff speed, flight speed, boundary optimization, advanced settings. There's your overlap. Oops. I need to close that. Payload settings. Come on. Dewarping. There should be one where I say where I can tell it not to fly down the center line. Single route, maybe that's it, maybe the single route. Oh yeah, see, so if I go single route, it's just gonna do the center line, and that's it. If I really wanna do this in one route and maintain that, I could just increase the, band length and say, hey, give me that at,
So does it still take 100 feet from each side when it goes from the center line?
does it what now?
The 100 feet offset from the center line.
Right.
Does it still take all that?
Yes.
That area?
Yes. Geez, as soon as I increase it to 1, it just gives me this. Oh wait, let me go back to my flight route settings. There we go. So I just increased that strip map. It said whenever you're doing single route settings, it just does the center line, and that's probably one of the downsides. So you want to break it up, but you can make it long enough so it does it as one mission and still maintains. Again, I don't like flying down the center line of the road. You're not supposed to fly over moving traffic at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah.
I'll transverse the road, so I don't mind when it comes across here, it just cuts across quick. If it's turning the corner and the props fail, it'll be across the road before it hits the ground. At least I'm not gonna hit a moving passenger and cause an accident. That's the main component. So whenever I cross any road, even a busy road, I always do it perpendicularly as fast as I can to get across the side. If I'm on a busy freeway or something like that, I will fly 4 separate missions. One's on this side, one on that side, you know, whatever I need to. If I need to do the median, I'll make a separate mission right up the middle of the median, but I never fly over traffic on a freeway. Forbidden. You'll lose your license quick. Probably get arrested at the same time, so be very careful of that. But people do it all the time. I mean, DOTs fly them all the time. They just fly off the side. Because of the way the camera angle's coming down, by the time you fly the left side of the road and the right side of the road, you've covered the middle really easily.
So you can stay on the shoulder
Stay on the shoulders, yep.
and collect.
Even with the LiDAR, I fly right up on the curb line. That's it. I don't go out in the lane. I try to avoid going out in the lane as much as possible. This is my luck that would fail right on top of somebody's head. But this is how you do a linear mission. It's pretty straightforward. Again, all the rest of them the same. You said save your mission. Now, if I had broken this up, let me go back. Let me edit this. Let me bring my flight route. Let me go back to that 1,600 feet or wherever it was. 2,000 feet. I'll break this off into 2,000 foot chunks. So then when I save my mission, you see it's labeled 1, 2, and 3. So when I actually go out to fly, I'm saying I'm going to start mission, it'll say, please select a band to execute. Well, let's say I'm only going to do number 2, I'll press and touch number 2, and then when I go to fly, it's only going to fly that portion of it. Then when I take off, land, complete my mission, I'll move back up station, I'll hit run again, and this time I'll run 1. Or I could run 1 and 2. Or I could run 1 and 3 only. You know, I can choose which ones I want to start. We hit X, we hit play again, maybe I'll do 1 and 3, or 1 and 2, whatever. I can't pick 3, 3's too damn short. But that's what you fly, and then when you go fly, it goes out and flies its mission as it needs to. So linear missions are pretty straightforward. LiDAR is basically the same thing. Okay. So let's look at this mission. Where on this road are we gonna fly? Are we gonna fly in the whole thing, just that intersection in front of the? I want to keep it low for processing tomorrow, but we'll go out and fly this site today. How much of the site do we need? Oh, if you need to delete a vertex, you select it, and with it highlighted with the blue dot, you hit the trash can in the upper left. That will take that vertex out. Oops, I didn't get it. Highlight, delete. How much of this road do we want to fly today?
Distance?
Yeah.
0.3 mile.
From where to where?
We have the coordinates, but you can just.
You gave me the center coordinate.
The start coordinate. The start point.
Is that the start point?
Yeah.
So this is what I have on my, this